What's the most scandalous thing you have ever witnessed in someone else's relationship? I once uncovered a complex web of infidelity that implicated multiple people I knew. It was like watching a house of cards collapse, and I was stuck in the wreckage. I did not know how to process it at first. It felt like a movie plot. I kept thinking about how everyone involved would react if the truth came out. I knew that keeping this information to myself was not an option. Innocent people were being hurt. I had to consider the best way to reveal what I knew without causing too much damage. I did not sleep well for several nights. I thought about the situation from every angle. I spoke to a trusted friend outside of the situation to get an objective opinion. This friend confirmed that I needed to act. I decided to speak to the person who told me the initial information to confirm what they said. I verified the information by speaking with a second person. This second person also had direct knowledge of the situation. They corroborated the initial account. I knew that I could not ignore it. It was a difficult decision. I knew there would be fallout. The information implicated several people close to me. I planned to approach the person most directly affected. I rehearsed what I would say. I wanted to be as clear and direct as possible. I did not want to add any unnecessary emotion. I wanted the person to hear the facts. I never expected to find myself in that position. I am generally a private person. I do not like drama or gossip. But one day, a piece of information came my way that changed everything. Someone I knew told me something about another person I knew. This information suggested that there was something going on that involved multiple people. I did not go looking for this information. I wish I had never known it. I never expected to find myself in that position. I am generally a private person. I do not like drama or gossip. But one day, a piece of information came my way that changed everything. Someone I knew told me something about another person I knew. This information suggested that there was something going on that involved multiple people. I did not go looking for this information. I wish I had never known it. My friend's husband came to me. He felt that something was wrong, and he was desperate. He asked me if I knew anything. I hesitated to get involved, but I also could not ignore his pain. I decided to do some digging. I asked a few questions and paid closer attention to the situation. I soon discovered that his suspicions were correct. It was worse than I imagined. I learned my friend was having an affair. The colleague at her new job was the person she was seeing. I felt sick to my stomach knowing this information. I wanted to tell her husband immediately, but I knew that I should talk to my friend first. I called her and asked if we could meet. I told her it was important and that I needed to talk to her face to face. She agreed, but she sounded nervous. I did not mention anything about what I knew. I wanted to hear it from her directly, if possible. We met at a coffee shop. I ordered a drink, and I waited for her to arrive. She was late, which was unusual. When she finally got there, she looked guilty. I asked her how work was going. She gave me a vague answer and avoided eye contact. I then confronted her directly. I told her that I knew about the affair. She burst into tears and admitted everything. She claimed she never meant for it to happen. She said she felt trapped and did not know what to do. I told her she needed to tell her husband. It began innocently enough. My friend started a new job, and she quickly became close with a colleague. They spent a lot of time together, working late and grabbing lunch. I didn't think much of it at first. She had a husband, and I considered her happily married. But then she started acting differently. She was secretive about her phone, and she would often disappear for hours without explanation. Her husband expressed concern. He said she was distant and he suspected she was having an affair. I dismissed his concerns. I did not want to believe my friend would do something like that. But then, one night, we went out for drinks, and she confessed. She told me she had developed feelings for her colleague. She said it started as a friendship, but it had evolved into something more. She insisted that it was not physical, but she admitted that they had shared intimate conversations and that she was emotionally invested in him. I told her she should tell her husband, but she refused. She said she was afraid of hurting him, and she hoped the feelings would simply fade away. I felt angry and betrayed. I had always considered her a good person. Now, she was admitting to behavior I found completely unacceptable. I tried to remain calm and rational as I talked to her. I emphasized the importance of honesty and communication in a marriage. I reminded her of all the good things she had in her life. I also pointed out the potential consequences if her husband found out from someone else. I feared the longer she waited, the worse it would be. I urged her to consider his feelings and do the right thing, even if it was difficult. I felt conflicted and unsure what to do next. I knew I could not condone her actions, but I also did not want to lose her as a friend. I decided to give her some space to think. I hoped she would come to her senses and make the right decision. I also knew I needed to protect myself. I could not be complicit in her deception. I resolved that if she did not tell her husband soon, I would have to consider telling him myself. It was a difficult choice, but I felt it was the only ethical thing to do. She asked me to understand. I told her I did understand having feelings for other people, but acting on them while married was a different story. I explained that her husband trusted her, and she was betraying that trust by keeping this a secret. I pushed the idea that even if it was not physical, the emotional affair was still damaging. She cried and said I was right, but she still did not want to tell him. She feared it would ruin her marriage, and she was not sure she wanted that. She said she needed more time to figure things out. I told her she did not have much time, as this could not go on forever. I gave her an ultimatum. I told her she had 1 month to tell her husband. If she did not, I would do it myself. This put a strain on our friendship, but I felt it was the right thing to do. I hated being in the middle of their marriage, and I did not want to keep secrets from my friend's husband. He was a good guy, and he did not deserve to be kept in the dark. I knew she would be angry with me if I told him, but I was prepared to face the consequences. I just hoped she would do the right thing before it came to that. I felt torn. I knew I should tell her husband, but I did not want to betray my friend's confidence. I also knew that she was not being fair to her husband. He deserved to know the truth. I decided to talk to her again. I told her that I could not keep her secret any longer. I said that she needed to be honest with her husband, or I would tell him myself. She became angry. She accused me of interfering in her life, and she said that I did not understand her feelings. She stormed off, and we did not speak for several weeks. In the meantime, I started to notice things. The colleague that she had been seeing also had a wife. I had met his wife at several company events. She seemed nice, but I did not know her well. I began to wonder if the colleague was also being unfaithful to his wife. I decided to do some investigating. I started by looking at their social media accounts. I noticed that they were constantly liking and commenting on each other's posts. They were also tagging each other in photos and videos. It seemed innocent enough, but then I found a series of private messages. They were exchanging romantic messages. They were also making plans to meet up in secret. I screenshotted all of the messages and saved them. I also documented the dates and times of their interactions. I felt like I was building a case. I wanted to be sure I had all the evidence before I confronted anyone. I felt conflicted about getting involved. It was not my business, but I also felt like I had a responsibility to say something. I knew I would want to know if I were in their position. I spent a lot of time thinking about how to approach the situation. I was also worried about the potential consequences. I did not want to cause any problems at work. I also did not want to damage my friendship. I did some research online about infidelity. I wanted to understand the dynamics of affairs and the best way to handle them. Most articles said to avoid getting involved. I knew that was probably the smartest course of action, but I could not shake the feeling that I needed to do something. I considered telling my friend about the affair, but I worried that she would not believe me. I also worried that she would get angry at me for snooping. Ultimately, I decided that I had to tell someone. I felt I would explode if I kept it inside. I was shocked. I could not believe that they were both being so reckless. I knew that I had to do something, but I did not know what. I decided to talk to another friend. I told her what I had discovered. She was equally shocked. She said that we needed to tell their spouses. We agreed that it was the right thing to do, but we were both nervous. We knew that it would cause a lot of pain and drama. We decided to start with my friend's husband. I called him and asked if we could meet for coffee. He agreed. When we met, I told him everything. I explained that his wife had been having an emotional affair with her colleague. I showed him the private messages. He was devastated. He thanked me for telling him the truth, and he said that he was going to confront his wife. The next day, I received a call from my friend's husband. He told me that he had confronted his wife, and she had admitted to the affair. He said that he was heartbroken, but he was determined to move on. He said that he was going to file for divorce. I felt terrible for him. I knew that it was the right thing to do, but I also felt guilty for causing him so much pain. Then, my other friend and I decided to tell the colleague's wife. We called her and asked if we could meet for lunch. She agreed. When we met, we told her everything. We explained that her husband had been having an affair with my friend. We showed her the private messages. She was also devastated. She started to cry. She said that she had suspected something was going on, but she did not want to believe it. She thanked us for telling her the truth, and she said that she was going to confront her husband. My friend and I supported her as much as we could. We knew she had a lot to process and big decisions to make. We offered to help her find a lawyer. We helped her look for a new place to live. I felt bad that both of my friends were going through such awful situations at the same time. I knew I had done the right thing by telling the truth. Still, I wished that none of this had happened. I wondered how our workplace would be after all of this. I expected things to be awkward for a very long time. I did not know how my friend and the colleague could possibly continue working together. I was unsure if I could be around them both after this. I needed some distance. I decided to focus on my work and my own life for a while. I still talked to both my friends regularly. I tried to be there for them in whatever way they needed. They were both angry and hurt. They both needed to vent. I let them. I listened. I did not offer advice unless they specifically asked for it. I knew that they needed to make their own decisions about their futures. I just wanted to be a supportive friend. I hoped that everyone involved could eventually find some peace. This whole situation had been incredibly stressful. I was emotionally drained. I needed to take care of myself too. The next day, I received a call from the colleague's wife. She told me that she had confronted her husband, and he had denied the affair. She said that she did not know what to believe. I told her that I understood her confusion. I said that it was difficult to accept that someone you love could betray you like that. I encouraged her to trust her instincts and to do what was best for her. A few days later, I learned that the colleague's wife had moved out of their house. She had decided that she could not stay with him after what he had done. She was going to file for divorce as well. The fallout from the affair was immense. Both marriages ended. My friend and her colleague lost their jobs. They became social pariahs. People gossiped about them behind their backs. I felt guilty for my role in the whole thing. I knew that I had done the right thing by telling their spouses, but I also felt responsible for the pain and suffering that followed. My friend and I did not speak for a long time. She blamed me for ruining her life. She said that I should have stayed out of her business. Eventually, we started talking again. She had done a lot of reflecting. She realized that she had made a mistake. She apologized for her behavior. She said that she understood why I had done what I did. I believe her apology was sincere. I think she understood that I was trying to help, even if it did cause her immediate pain. I do not regret telling her husband and her colleague's wife. I still believe that they had a right to know what was happening. I do think about what would have happened if I had stayed silent. I wonder if the affair would have continued. I worry about whether more people would have gotten hurt. I feel that my decision, while difficult, prevented even more damage in the long run. It was a complex situation without any easy answers. I am not sure if the others involved ever forgave my friend and her colleague. I did not stay in close contact with them. I heard through mutual acquaintances that they eventually moved away and started new lives. I imagine it was hard for them to stay in the same town after everything that happened. I hope that they found happiness and learned from their mistakes as well. The whole affair served as a cautionary tale for many people in our social circle. People talked about it for a long time. I think it made some people more aware of the importance of communication and honesty in their own relationships. The experience taught me a lot about relationships and infidelity. I learned that secrets can destroy lives. I learned that honesty is always the best policy, even when it is difficult. I learned that betrayal can have devastating consequences. And I learned that sometimes, the right thing to do is also the hardest. The scandalous thing I witnessed was not just the affair itself, but the ripple effect it had on everyone involved. It was a stark reminder that our actions have consequences, and that we should always strive to be honest and faithful in our relationships. It was a difficult time, but I believe that everyone involved eventually learned from their mistakes. I know I did. It was an experience I will never forget. The situation was complicated, and it made me question a lot about trust and loyalty.